Alrighty, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the video. We're looking at something really interesting, right? In America, there's a lot of secret bases in certain areas, you know, especially in like our Southwest and you know, off the coast of Florida, some interesting things going on that we really don't know about. There's confidential information, high security stuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And, you know, they're always just kind of fun to talk about like what's really going on there. And of course, there's a bunch of theories and stuff like that. You know, it's all in good fun, I think. And that is indeed Pine Gap. So we're going to see what this report says. This is from, you know, some news network. The channel is QLDA, and that will be linked in the description down below. This comes to us from Discord suggestion, again, from David J. So David J, thank you so much for this. You guys always do the best suggestions, and let's just get right into it, see what they have to say, and what is going on inside of Pine Gap. I don't know really anything about it other than it's a pretty high security area, and the U.S. really has their claws in it, so to say. So, that's weird. There we go.
Tonight's special report. New documents obtained by the ABC from the archive of NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden reveal the Pine Gap surveillance base in Central Australia plays a crucial role in US military action around the world.
Wow.
The information reveals that the Joint Defence Facility at Pine Gap tracks mobile phones and email traffic to locate targets anywhere in the world. This exclusive report from Peter Chrono.
Now, what does your mind go to there? Does it go to, wow, that's really state of the art? Or does that go to, wow, that's really invasive?
Pine Gap is a joint US-Australian facility run primarily by America's National Security Agency.
Cool area.
With a staff of 800, half
there.
of whom are Australian. Top secret documents.
So a lot of Aussies there, working there at least. And of course, you saw both flags. Of course, there are US people there, high-level intelligence sectors, whatever. Very interesting, to say the least.
Whom are Australian. Top secret documents obtained by the ABC's background briefing program now provide the first clear proof that this surveillance site is crucial to US military operations in the battlefield. One document, titled NSA Intelligence Relationship with Australia and marked Top Secret, describes the facility, known under the NSA code word Rainfall, as a site which plays a significant role in supporting both intelligence activities and military operations.
These documents show us that Pine Gap is critically not just a part of a strategic intelligence organisation at the national level, the things you might tell the president. These are things that you'll tell the majors and captains in companies and battalions on the ground in operations. This is extraordinarily important for the United States in military terms today.
Really interesting. We'll see what they get into here, but yeah, I guess I could see that, you know, we've said on the channel before with reacting to some military videos, you know, obviously it's pretty obvious that the U.S. is very into, you know, our military, and they spend more than any other country in the world by a landslide. And I guess from their point of view, having a good alliance with Australia and furthermore, having a big-time important base over in Australia, I guess would make sense because it's, you know, like on the other side of the world. It's a big country, big landmass. You know, I'm sure that gives them some sort of strategic advantage somehow. Clearly, there is some sort of incentive and advantage to having this installation, this big-time, top-secret military installation in Australia, you know, across the world. So that's very interesting to say the least.
Tanta is the foremost researcher in Australia on the functions of the Pine Gap base. He says the base used to provide mainly high-level strategic intelligence about other countries, but that's now changed.
It certainly makes us
not only
legally complicit, but morally.
The base is linked to huge satellites that suck up vast amounts of digital data from electronic sources, including mobile phones, email accounts, and internet connections.
Jeez. I was going to say, those big old white satellites that sticking up out of the ground, they look pretty intimidating. They look pretty suspicious, to say the least. And, man, if they're really taking that much data, where are they taking it from? You know, like how big of a radius we talking about here? And damn, that just seems pretty
electronic sources,
sketchy,
including mobile phones, email accounts, and internet connections. Pine Gap looks north and west. The NSA's Menwith Hill base in the UK looks south and east, so that together most of the Earth's landmass is covered.
Wow,
Analysts
okay.
at Pine Gap
There
can
you
find
go.
a target by seeking the signals and location of their communications, like mobile phones, and then firing that information via optical cables to military centres in the US.
Oh my
From
God.
there, it can be sent to commanders in the battlefield or to the pilots of the US's expanding fleet of lethal unmanned drones based in Nevada.
I think any country that has a cable, a satellite, a connection to this remote war, no matter what that connection is, I just think it's wrong.
After working as a technical sergeant on the US drone program, Lisa Ling resigned from the US Air Force and twice travelled to Afghanistan.
I went back to see the people, to see the humanity. There's so much distance that's created with the drone program that it's just too easy to forget that these are real people and families with children.
The US has been accused of killing hundreds of civilians in its decades-long drone wars. But David Rosenberg, a 23-year veteran of the NSA and former senior Pine Gap official, says the operations at the base help prevent civilian casualties.
The intelligence that Pine Gap collects would certainly be used to help to minimize any kind of loss of life. The information provides additional intelligence to the United States, to Australia, to whoever might be involved on the ground.
But Richard,
I mean, yeah, that's pretty, I guess, predictable that they would say, well, actually, it reduces casualties. You know, I can really, I guess I can see it both ways. I mean, I think war sucks in general. Obviously, any casualty as a product of some disagreement is terrible. That's like the obvious. Let's just throw that out there first. But second of all, you know, the whole drone thing, it's like, wow, this is really amazing technology, right? Or, you know, like, yeah, we don't have to have a bunch of troops down on the ground, you know, that could get hurt or interact with the wrong people and have them get hurt, whatever the case, right? So it takes like one piece of the puzzle out of it. But then again, like the lady said, you're so disconnected with the whole drone warfare that you might end up hurting, or even worse, a lot of people that you just can't really see on the ground, right? You might just, it might get a little sloppy with attacks and stuff like that, and it'd be too easy to just kind of go through with it because you're really not on the ground with a bunch of people consciously making a decision to do something. So it's pretty wicked, pretty bad from that angle. And, you know, if they claim that they can have less casualties, if these are so smart and whatever, that they know what they're doing and know what they're aiming at, you know, I don't know. I guess so be it. I'm not an expert here. That sounds like it just has a lot of issues no matter what way you go with it. To learn, I did not know that this Pine Gap was this big of a deal. This is a really big deal. This is up there with the top U.S. bases, as in what they do, how much they do there, and importance. That's what it seems like to me. This is a real big deal. So, wow, that is very, very interesting to learn about.
Hunter questions the legality of Pine Gap's role in supporting US military operations.
There's something wrong with an unseen object in the sky killing somebody on the ground in a country with which we are not at war.
However, David Rosenberg...
Yeah, there's that issue too. What if the U.S. does have a conflict with so-and-so, but Australia, even though, you know, they're allies with the U.S. and stuff, you know, Australia is not in a conflict with so-and-so, but the U.S. is. That kind of puts Australia in a weird spot, right? Like, it is a weird scenario for sure to have such a high importance installation like this be across the world in Australia. Even though they're allies, it is a weird scenario and puts them in a tough spot as well.
In a country with which we are not at war.
However, David Rosenberg says Australia's role at Pine Gap is legitimate and essential in the war on terror.
The tasking that's given to Pine Gap is simply to passively intercept electronic signals. The intelligence from that, of course, is then sent back to the requesting agency, the analysts, to act on that kind of intelligence.
Some believe Australia's contribution at Pine Gap is an important part of its alliance with the US.
It's something which, frankly, saves us a great deal of money, because if we were forced to do everything that the alliance provides by ourselves, you could easily double the Australian defence budget.
For some observers, that's not enough.
Pine Gap, if it was to have any legitimacy at all, must be completely refigured on the basis of principles and law. And that's something that's going to be very hard for the Australian government to deal with.
Pine Gap has really been regarded as the jewel in the crown of Australia's intelligence cooperation with the United States. And what it does is provide us with a wealth of intelligence information which is relevant to how Australia thinks about its security.
The public needs to speak out. We need to ask for transparency, and we need to ask to have some real discourse about what is going on in these wars.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm a fan of. I don't really get into politics and stuff like that. But damn, I tell you what, government does need to be transparent. That's a given. That's a given. Now, if you're all part of a country and everyone contributes and especially everyone pays taxes, then that government better be transparent. That's the least they can do. So, yeah, that was pretty interesting. Pine Gap, it's just one of those weird things, right? It's kind of like some of the famous, secretive places in the U.S., like, like Los Alamos and White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico come to mind, Nellis, Area 51 in Nevada, things like that. They're just really interesting but kind of freaky places that you just don't know a lot about. And this falls into that category for sure. Seems like a very important, high dollar, high importance place for the U.S. and Australia, I guess. It's way more intense and more involved than I previously thought, not knowing anything about it. So thank you to David J. and everyone in Discord for always suggesting some interesting videos. Throw a thumbs up on this one if you learned something and maybe got some interesting info out of this one. Tell me your thoughts down below. I can only say so much. Let's have a conversation down there. What do you know about Pine Gap? Do you like it? Does it freak you out? Do you hate it? Do you think it's justified? Tell me stuff like that down below. Go ahead and we can have a conversation down there. Subscribe. We're almost at 50K. You guys rock. You've been doing really well lately. We're almost there, guys. Thank you so much always for watching. Remember to check that description for this original video. It will be linked down there, as well as other ways you can interact with my channel. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, guys. Catch you later.